All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
This time we're looking at laneway homes again.
Laneway homes, that's right.
I know.
Popular topic.
It is. This is our fourth city that we're looking at
Wow.
in the Vancouver area for laneway homes. But I think it just shows how much interest there is in this kind of housing option.
Yeah, absolutely.
And today we're in Port Coquitlam,
All right.
which they're really embracing laneway homes.
Yeah.
It's also called ADUs, coach houses, detached garden suites,
All kinds of different names.
all the names.
But they all mean something pretty similar.
They do. They do.
I think what's interesting about Port Coquitlam is they're really looking at it from two angles.
Okay.
One is,
Yeah.
building a laneway home for family.
Okay.
And the other is building a laneway home as an investment property.
Interesting.
And there's a lot of benefits to both.
Okay, so before we get ahead of ourselves, what are the basic, what's allowed?
Right.
What are the ground rules for laneway homes in Poco?
Well, they're very specific.
Okay.
In Port Coquitlam, these ADUs, or whatever you want to call them, they have to be totally self-contained,
Okay.
detached dwellings at the back of your lot.
Okay.
And the maximum size is 90 square meters.
All right.
Now, they can be ground level or above a garage, but one thing they can't be is the main house on the property.
Okay, so it has to be secondary
That's
to an
right.
existing.
It can't be, a replacement. It can't be subdivided or stratified.
Okay. Interesting.
One key thing is you can rent them out.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So you could build this and actually have a tenant helping you with your mortgage.
Potentially, yeah.
That changes the game for a lot of people.
For sure, for sure. So it opens up some different, possibilities for financing
Yeah,
and how you approach the whole project.
absolutely.
Now, not everybody in Port Coquitlam can just go and build a laneway home.
Right?
There are some hoops to jump through.
Okay.
First of all, your lot has to have the right zoning. So single-family homes only,
Okay.
specifically zones RS1 to RS4.
Okay.
No duplexes, no triplexes.
Gotcha.
And a big one is fire safety.
Right.
So you have to have a clear path at least 1 meter wide from the laneway home all the way to the street for firefighters to get in there.
Does that make sense?
Plus, your lot needs to have easy access to a fire hydrant
Okay.
within 90 meters
Got it.
and enough space for a fire truck to get kind of close.
Right.
So within 45 meters.
I mean, that makes sense.
It does. It does. You want
You want it to be safe.
you want to build these responsibly,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You don't want to just be squeezing them in wherever you can.
Exactly.
And, that attention to detail even extends to the building process itself.
Okay.
There are height restrictions, for example.
Yeah.
So 2 stories maximum, but the final height depends on how steep your roof is.
All right. So a lower pitch roof might mean a shorter ADU.
That's right.
Okay. Now, what about basements? Can they be a part of this?
They can, but there's a few catches.
Okay.
The basement can only be half of the total floor area of the ADU.
Okay.
And they do count as a story.
Right.
The crawl space is allowed too,
Okay.
but it can only be 1.5 meters high.
Right.
And that doesn't count as a story.
So you can have those little extra spaces, but they do play into
right into it.
the overall size and height.
That's right.
Okay. So I'm picturing a laneway home. I immediately think I want to have a nice little outdoor space.
Sure.
Is that even allowed?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Port Coquitlam understands that.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a little bit of their own private outdoor space.
Right.
So every ADU needs at least 15 square meters of private outdoor area.
Okay. So we're talking a patio, maybe a little garden, fire up the barbecue.
Exactly.
That's a real selling point for families and renters.
And of course, parking.
Oh,
Each laneway home needs its own dedicated parking spot.
okay.
Either a garage or a parking pad.
No sharing with the main house. Nope. No sharing.
Makes sense, especially if you got a tenant.
You don't want parking drop.
You don't want parking drama.
Now here's a little tip. If you do an attached garage or carport,
Okay.
that space actually doesn't count towards the 90 square meter size limit of the ADU.
Oh, that's good to know.
Maximize that space.
Yeah, you can make that living space a little bit bigger.
Okay, now I know I've seen some laneway houses that just look a little out of place
Right.
in different cities.
Sure.
But what about, how does that work with, the neighborhood?
That's where Port Coquitlam's design guidelines come in.
Okay.
They really want these ADUs to enhance the neighborhood, not stick out like sore thumbs.
Right.
So they have guidelines for, the overall look, the size, how it fits in with the houses around it, privacy, lighting, landscaping, all of that.
So it's really about a cohesive look and feel,
Exactly. It's not just
not just sticking something there.
throwing up a building.
Exactly.
It's about making sure it really works.
The whole prop
The whole property and the whole neighborhood.
in the neighborhood. All right, I'm guessing this isn't just a walk in the park to do this. So what does it take to get one of these things built?
Well, before you go crazy and start picking out your paint colors,
Right.
you really need to think about the costs involved.
Okay.
And I'm not just talking about the construction costs here.
Okay.
There's things like utility connections, potential upgrades to your existing services,
Right.
maybe even driveway work.
Right. Those hidden costs can add up
Oh, yeah, for sure.
quickly.
So let's start with the big one, construction costs.
Okay.
Now, that can vary widely depending on how fancy you want to get,
Right.
the size of the ADU, materials you choose,
Yeah.
even how much contractors are charging at the time.
So no magic number you can just give us?
Unfortunately not.
All right.
It's best to get a few quotes from reputable builders
Okay.
to get a realistic idea for your project.
And speaking of reputable builders, I think we should mention our friends at Corval Homes.
Absolutely. Yeah, they do fantastic work.
Yeah, they do great work in Port Coquitlam.
Very experienced,
They can give you a good breakdown of costs.
for sure.
Okay, so besides the actual building itself, what about getting the essentials hooked up?
Right. So utilities, you're
Yeah.
going to have to connect water, sewer, electricity, and gas
Right.
from the main house over to your new ADU.
Right.
And sometimes, your existing setup might not be able to handle that extra load.
So you might end up having to upgrade your water line or something like that.
That's right. That's right. And those upgrades can add to the cost as well.
Okay, so we got construction, utilities, upgrades. Anything else we're missing?
Don't forget about your driveway.
Oh, the driveway.
You might have to widen your driveway
Yeah.
to accommodate the extra parking that's required for the ADU.
Right.
Especially if you're planning on having a garage or parking pad for tenants.
Exactly.
You can't have them fighting for space
No, exactly.
with the main house.
And of course the fees.
Oh, yeah.
We can't forget about those.
Permit and approval fees.
The permit and approval fees.
That's right.
Okay.
You're looking at about $1,100 for the development permit in Port Coquitlam right now.
Okay.
Then there's a refundable landscaping deposit of $2,500.
Okay, refundable's good.
Refundable is good. You'll get that back.
At least there's that.
Then you got the building permit fee, which depends on the value of the construction.
Okay.
And of course, each utility company is going to have their own connection fees.
So there is
A
some
little bit of homework to do.
number crunching to do
Yeah,
before you just dive right in.
absolutely. It's a good idea to talk to a financial advisor or a builder who's familiar with these projects in Port Coquitlam,
Okay.
and they can help you get a really clear picture of the costs specific to your situation.
That makes sense. All right, welcome back to our Laneway Home deep dive.
Yeah, round two.
We got through the rules last time.
We did all the regulations, all the design guidelines.
A lot of information.
It can be a little overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think now is the really juicy part.
Yeah, I think so too.
We're getting down to the money,
Dollars and cents.
the dollars and cents. Yeah.
Yeah, this is often the deciding factor for a lot of people.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Let's just rip off the Band-Aid. What are we actually looking at cost-wise?
Okay, yeah. So as we alluded to earlier, there's more than just construction costs to consider. There's utility hookups, there's potential upgrades to your existing services,
Right.
and even driveway work. It all adds up.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So let's start with the big one, construction.
Okay.
The cost of actually building the laneway home.
Right.
Now, that can vary widely
Okay.
depending on how fancy you want to get,
Okay.
the size of the ADU, the materials you choose,
Right.
even how much contractors are charging at the time.
So there's no magic number.
Unfortunately not.
Yep.
It's really best to get a few quotes from reputable builders.
Right. And we should mention our friends at Corval Homes.
Absolutely, yeah. They do fantastic work in Port Coquitlam.
Yeah, they do great work.
Very experienced with laneway homes,
They can give you a good breakdown of costs.
for sure.
Okay, so besides the actual building, what about getting all the essentials hooked up?
Yeah, utilities.
Utilities.
So you're going to need to connect water, sewer, electricity, and gas from the main house to your new laneway home.
Right.
And sometimes, your existing setup might not be able to handle that.
Right. So you might need to upgrade
Exactly.
the water line or something like that.
You might need to upgrade the water line, the electrical panel.
Okay.
Those things can add to the cost.
So, okay, we've got construction, utilities, upgrades. Is there anything else we're forgetting?
Don't forget about your driveway.
Oh, the driveway.
You might have to widen your driveway
Okay.
to accommodate the extra parking,
Right.
especially if you're going to have a garage or a parking pad.
Right. For tenants.
You don't want them fighting for space.
No,
Back
exactly.
with the main house.
Okay, and then there's those lovely fees.
Oh, yeah, the permit and approval fees.
You can't forget those.
They add up.
Yeah.
So you're looking at about $1,100 for the development permit.
Okay.
In Port Coquitlam right now, then there's a refundable landscaping deposit of $2,500.
Okay, refundable is good.
Refundable is good. You'll get that back once the landscaping is complete.
I like that. At least there's that.
Then you've got the building permit fee,
Okay.
which is calculated based on the value of the construction.
Okay.
And, of course, each utility company is going to have their own connection fees.
Right.
So
A little bit of number crunching.
there's a bit of homework to do.
Yes.
It's a good idea to talk to a financial advisor or a builder who's familiar with these projects in Port Coquitlam,
Okay.
and they can help you get a really clear picture of the costs specific to your situation.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's say you know what you're getting into,
Right.
cost-wise.
Uh-huh.
How do people usually pay for this? Do they just have, like, stacks of cash lying around?
Well, some do.
Some do.
But for most of us, it's about exploring financing options.
Right.
So some people might dip into their savings investments
Yeah.
to fund the project,
If you've got it.
if you've got the cash on hand.
Yeah.
But for those who need to borrow,
Right.
there are a couple of common paths.
Okay.
One popular option is a home equity line of credit.
A HELOC.
A HELO OC, that's right.
Remind me how that works again.
Yeah, so a HELO OC is basically a revolving line of credit
Okay.
that's secured by the equity you have in your home.
So you're borrowing against the value of your house.
Exactly, and there are limits to how much you can borrow.
Okay.
Usually it's a percentage of your home's equity.
Okay, that makes sense. What are some other options?
Another popular choice is a construction loan,
Oh, construction loans, yeah.
specifically designed for building projects like this.
Right.
So construction loans are short-term loans that cover the building phase.
Okay.
And then once the project's done, you typically refinance into a traditional mortgage.
So it's like a two-step process.
Exactly.
Ah.
Construction loan first, then a regular mortgage when the ADU's finished.
Got it.
And the nice thing about construction loans is the lender usually makes payments directly to the builder as the project progresses.
Oh, okay.
So they're kind of keeping an eye on things,
Right, like a safeguard.
making sure everything's moving along as planned.
Yeah.
And of course, as with any loan, it's always a good idea to shop around,
Right.
compare interest rates, terms
Change lenders.
from different lenders, absolutely.
Okay, now let's talk ROI.
Okay, return on investment.
What can people realistically expect if they're building this as an investment property?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is. It is.
There are a few key things to consider.
Okay.
First, you need to know how much rent you can realistically charge
Okay.
in the current market.
Right. Because that'll determine your income. And I imagine that varies depending on, size,
Oh,
features,
wow.
even location within POCO.
Yeah, the size of the ADU, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms,
Yeah.
the finishes, the location, all of those things play a role.
So do your research.
Yeah.
Check out what's out there.
Look at comparable rentals in the area.
See what's going for what.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you figured out the rental income.
Okay.
What next?
Don't forget about your operating expenses.
Oh, right, operating expenses.
Things like property taxes, insurance,
Right.
utilities, maintenance, repairs, all of that.
Yeah, because you got to subtract that from your income to
Exactly.
see what you actually pocket.
It's the net income that really matters.
Right, the net income, that's what you're taking home.
Exactly. And once you have that number, you can calculate your capitalization rate
Or cap rate.
or cap rate. That's right.
Remind me what that is again.
Yeah, so cap rate is basically a way to measure how profitable your investment property is. You get it by dividing the net operating income by the property's value.
So it's basically like a comparison between how much income the property's generating
Right.
and how much it's actually worth.
Exactly. And generally speaking, a higher cap rate means a more profitable investment.
Okay, good to know.
So definitely something to keep in mind when you're evaluating potential investment properties.
Cap rate. Okay, got it.
And don't forget about potential appreciation.
Oh, right, yeah.
So the value of your property
Could go up.
could increase over time,
Yeah,
which means profit if you decide to sell down the road.
and in Vancouver, that could be significant.
Absolutely.
Right.
But before we get too excited about all those dollar signs,
Right.
it's important to remember that real estate always comes with some risk.
Right, because the market can change.
The market can be unpredictable.
Right.
Things like the economy, interest rates,
Yeah.
even just changes in the neighborhood can impact property values
Right.
and rental income.
So do your homework
Yeah.
research.
Due diligence.
Understand
Absolutely. Talk to experts.
ups and downs.
Financial advisors, real estate professionals.
Exactly.
They can help you make informed choices.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Wow, we covered a lot of ground here.
We did.
Everything from the regulations to the design
Financing.
to the financing, the ROI.
Yeah.
Laneway homes are a hot topic.
It's a complex topic.
And it seems like Port Coquitlam is really on board.
They are. They're really embracing this
Yeah.
as a solution to some of the housing challenges that we're facing.
All right, welcome back for the final part of our Laneway Home series.
The grand finale.
It really has been an eye-opener
It has.
to explore this with you.
Yeah.
From the rules to the design to the
Yeah.
financing.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot to think about, but hopefully our listeners are feeling a little more in the know.
A little more informed.
And maybe even inspired.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think one of the things that strikes me is how forward-thinking Port Coquitlam is being about this.
Yeah.
They've got these guidelines.
They do.
And they're really encouraging people to consider this as an option.
Yeah, they see the potential.
Whether it's for family or for an investment.
Absolutely.
I think now we should circle back
Okay.
to a key part of this.
Right.
Which is finding the right builder.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Yeah.
Choosing the right builder can make or break the whole project.
Absolutely.
It's a big investment.
It is.
You want someone who knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
has experience with the Laneway homes,
A good reputation.
a solid reputation.
Yeah, and will deliver.
Absolutely.
After all our research, we're pretty confident in recommending Corval Homes.
Corval Val.
They seem to stand out in the Poco Laneway home scene.
They do, yeah. They do great work.
They do great work.
Really high quality.
Yeah. And from what I've heard, they're good at working with clients to create custom designs.
Absolutely. They can tailor it to your specific needs.
So if anyone out there is ready to take the plunge and build one of these Laneway homes,
Give Corval a call.
give Corval a shout.
Yeah.
You can find them online
At CorvalHomes.com.
at CorvalHomes.com. That's right.
Easy to remember.
And don't forget our little insider tip. Mention Gordy
Ah, yes, Gordy.
when you contact them.
He'll take good care of you.
He'll take good care of you. It's like a secret password.
A little VIP treatment.
Yeah, little VIP treatment.
Okay.
Before we wrap up completely,
Okay.
I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
We talked about the benefits to individuals, families, investors.
Yeah.
But zoom out for a second.
Okay.
Think about the bigger picture.
Okay.
Could Laneway Homes be part of the solution
Ooh,
to the housing challenges that we're seeing
that's a good question.
in our communities?
Mhm.
You know, affordability, density.
Could they be a path to more affordable housing?
Exactly.
Could they help families stay connected and support each other?
Multi-generational living. Could they help create more vibrant and diverse neighborhoods?
It's something to think about.
It is. It is.
Oh,
Well, that's
yeah.
a good question to leave our listeners with.
I think so.
We've had a great time exploring this with you.
You too.
Hope you found it valuable
And informative.
and informative.
And maybe got a few ideas.
A few takeaways.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.
Keep learning.
And there's always more to discover.
Absolutely.